What people say at the very end of their life is different. There is no performance anymore, no pressure to impress anyone, no image to protect. Everything becomes stripped away until only truth is left. And what's interesting is that when some of the greatest minds in history reached that point, they didn't talk about the things most people spend their lives chasing.
To London, I know that I shall carry with me the pleasantest memories.
They didn't talk about money, they didn't talk about status, and they didn't talk about fame in the way you would expect. They talked about meaning, they talked about regret, they talked about peace, and they talked about what actually mattered when everything else no longer did. Before we go deeper into that, if you're the kind of person who likes content that makes you think differently about life, take a second and subscribe, because videos like this aren't just stories, they're reminders. And most people don't realize what matters until it's too late. One of the most well-known examples is Steve Jobs. He built one of the most powerful companies in the world, Apple, and became a symbol of innovation and success. From the outside, it looked like he had everything.
Calling it iPhone.
Money, influence, fame, and global recognition. But near the end of his life, his perspective shifted in a way that surprised many people. He admitted that even though he reached the highest level of success in business, it didn't bring him the kind of happiness people assume it would. He said that outside of work, he had very little joy. That is a powerful thing to hear from someone who defined modern technology and changed how billions of people live. Even more powerful, he said that people should not be raised just to become rich, but to become happy.
My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife.
Think about that, coming from someone who had everything money could buy. It forces a question that most people avoid. If you got everything you are chasing right now, would you actually feel fulfilled? Or would you just find a new thing to chase? And if you're still watching, you're already different from most people. A lot of people scroll past ideas like this, but the ones who stay usually think deeper about life. So stay with me, because it only gets more powerful from here. Marie Curie lived a completely different life, but her final message carried the same weight in a different form. She dedicated her entire life to science and discovery. Her work changed medicine forever and made her one of the most important scientists in history. But the same thing she studied, radiation, slowly destroyed her body over time. Even so, she never lived with fear controlling her decisions. Her mindset was built around understanding instead of avoiding. She believed that nothing in life should be feared, only understood. That idea sounds simple, but it's powerful because fear controls most people without them realizing. Fear of failure stops action. Fear of judgment stops expression. Fear of uncertainty keeps people stuck in the same place for years.
It is by these small candles in our darkness that we see before us, little by little, the dim outlines of that great plan that shapes the universe.
Her message suggests something important. Fear doesn't disappear when you avoid it. It disappears when you understand it. And once you understand something, it stops controlling you. Before we continue, if this video is making you reflect even a little, hit the like button and subscribe. Because most people never hear ideas like this in their daily life. And that's exactly why they stay stuck in the same patterns. Leonardo da Vinci is considered one of the greatest minds to ever live. He was an artist, inventor, scientist, and thinker far ahead of his time. His work still influences the world centuries later, but his final reflection was not filled with pride. Instead, it was filled with dissatisfaction. He reportedly felt like he hadn't reached the level of perfection he was capable of. Even someone who created some of the most famous art in human history still felt incomplete. That reveals something uncomfortable but real. The feeling of not enough doesn't disappear with success. Even at the highest level of achievement, there is still a voice that says you could have done more. But maybe that voice isn't just negativity. Maybe it's the same force that pushes people to improve, to grow, and to keep creating. Without it, progress might stop entirely. Nikola Tesla's story adds another layer to this idea. Tesla helped shape the modern world with his
electric power is everywhere present in unlimited quantities.
Discoveries in electricity and innovation. Much of the technology we use today is connected to his ideas. But during his lifetime, he wasn't fully recognized. He spent his final years in isolation, without the fame or wealth many would expect for someone of his impact. Yet his mindset stayed focused on something bigger than recognition. One of his most powerful final ideas was the belief that the future would eventually reveal the truth. He believed that time itself would validate his work. That truth doesn't depend on immediate recognition, it depends on time. And that's something a lot of people struggle with today. Everyone wants results immediately. Everyone wants validation instantly. But real impact often takes time to be understood. If you're still here watching, I just want to say this. You're not wasting your time. Most people would have clicked away already. But you stayed, and that says something about how you think. Oscar Wilde, known for his intelligence and humor, approached the end of his life differently. Even while facing illness and discomfort, he kept his personality intact. There is a famous final remark where he looked at the wallpaper in his room and joked that either it needed to go or he did. On the surface, it's humor, but deeper than that, it shows something important. Even at the end of life, he didn't abandon who he was. Most people spend their lives changing themselves to fit in or be accepted. But Wilde shows that identity doesn't have to disappear just because life gets serious. Sometimes, who you really are shows most clearly when everything else fades away. Mahatma Gandhi's final words reflect a different kind of strength.
He declared that he would try for an honorable settlement before commencing the actual.
He led a movement built on nonviolence, discipline, and peace.
I do dimly perceive that whilst everything around me is ever changing, ever dying, there is underlying all that change a living power that is changeless.
His entire life was dedicated to resisting injustice without hatred. When he was assassinated, his final words were a call to God. There was no anger, no revenge, no resistance in that final moment, just faith. That kind of peace doesn't come randomly at the end of life. It's built through years of discipline, mindset, and control over reaction. And that leads to an important realization. The way you live is the way you respond when everything is taken away. Socrates, one of the most influential philosophers in history, faced death in a very different way. He was sentenced to drink poison for challenging beliefs and encouraging people to think deeply. Instead of fear, he accepted it calmly. His final words reflected reflection, not panic. He spoke about life and death in a way that showed acceptance rather than resistance. That mindset comes from a lifetime of questioning everything and seeking understanding. And in the end, he stayed consistent with his philosophy until his last breath. When you put all of these final messages together, a pattern becomes clear. Success alone doesn't guarantee happiness. Fear loses power when it is understood. Even the greatest minds feel incomplete. Truth often takes time to be recognized. Identity can remain even in difficulty. Peace is built over time, not found instantly. And acceptance is often the final stage of wisdom. And if you're still watching right now, I appreciate you. Seriously. Because most people never make it to the end of ideas like this. So before you leave, make sure you're subscribed, because I post more videos that make you think deeper about life, mindset, and the way people really live. Because one day, everyone reaches a final moment. And in that moment, you won't care about likes, money, or opinions. You'll care about meaning. So the real question is not what these people said at the end. It's what your life is building toward right now. And that's something only you can answer.